Hi, welcome back. This is Debbie McAllister, and this is Light Up Your Worth. We are still in the midst of the International Women's Month series, and I'm so excited to have you here and to have you really understand this next guest that we're going to have this week is Catherine. And Catherine really took a bold step into making a huge career change, later in life. And so I'm going to be bringing her on after this, but I wanted to pause and thank all of the women. This month, I've really am so pleased to be able to highlight different women and where they are in their life and how they are really stepping into their own worth and helping others along the way. So thank you for being here. My heart is full for you, and I'm so full of gratitude. And if you know of somebody who's thinking about a career change, perhaps you could share this episode with them. So welcome, and let's dig in. Hello, this is Debbie McAllister, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I'm excited you're here. I have a remarkable guest, Catherine Catterson, a best-selling author, a multifaceted, intuitive composer, magician, musician, oh my gosh, and photographer who helps people control of their anxiety, fear, and stress through music, visual arts, focused breathing so that they can live their best lives. Catherine has suffered from anxiety, social anxiety, and depression from an early age. As a self-taught musician of multiple instruments, she found her voice through playing music. She started composing her own music as a teenager as a way to calm her anxiety and depression and regain control of her life. Catherine has released several singles, including Falling Snow and Do I Ever Cross Your Mind? And it's all available on her website. I'll share that after the interview. Catherine, I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm
Welcome.
excited to be here. Thank you.
This is so powerful. I know we were going to talk about your transition, doing a complete opposite career change at 51. Remarkable to do that. What were you doing? What type of transitions that you had to go through? And even if you had to reflect back, what would you do differently?
I I was a store manager of an automotive paint store. We supplied body shops with supplies ranging from sandpaper to clear coat. It was a really good job. I started in 2004 and I loved working with the body shops. I love the auto industry in general. I was raised in that industry with my dad being a mechanic. So doing that kind of job was really exciting to me. And I just felt like I was, in a way, following in my dad's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
I loved helping people in the customer service job. That lasted almost 17 years. About 9 years in, we were bought by a larger company, and the dynamic changed overnight. It was a lot different and no longer that enjoyable. And as years went by, it was sucking the joy out of me a little more and a little more, and it became a lot more stressful. And I had wanted to leave for quite a few years, but anxiety held me captive there because I was afraid of new environment, new people, being qualified for another job because A, I'd had this job for so long, and B,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a college education. I'm a high school graduate. Trying to find something else was really difficult.
When we do stuff that starts out something that we love
Mhm.
and then it changes, I don't think we can underplay the part that anxiety plays
Mhm.
in our life and our decisions.
It really does. I was comfortable there, even though I was miserable It was routine, familiar. It was something that I could go through day by day and do almost in my sleep, which was in itself good, but the fear of change was so ingrained in me. That fear, it held me back for a long time. And looking back, I wish I would have figured out it wasn't bad to change, but I don't think I would have had the same opportunities my new job has awarded me. Life was waiting for me to have this new opportunity.
How did you take that big step, having depression, the social anxiety? How did you help yourself? What was your first few steps there?
What really, I think what made it my final, that's it. I need to go. I really need to do this. The last couple of years, because of the stress of the job and depression starting to set in, my overall health was starting to decline a bit. I was having trouble sleeping, and I don't function well with lack of sleep and things like that. And my blood pressure started going up. I go to my doctor and they're like, seems like it's a little higher. And then the year I left, my doctor's, yeah, we're gonna have to put you on meds if you get this any higher. It was just out of control. And it was our last inventory we did was the deciding factor for me. Inventories always stressed me out. Every time we did one, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. It was so bad. I would just sit in the corner and be like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. The last one, I had a complete breakdown. I was in the back crying hysterically, could not stop crying because I was so stressed out. And I'm like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Wow, I really feel for you. That is not a pleasant experience to feel like you're losing control over everything. I've had those experiences. I know my listeners have. My heart goes out to having it get to that point, but I think it's very relatable. Anybody who's currently thinking about a career change over 50,
It's terrifying.
it
And
is.
having so much vested in this company for so long, it was my blood, sweat, and tears, and changing felt so scary. And doing something else completely different, that wasn't my plan. But I started looking for jobs, and every one I've looked at, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. I look at the requirements for the job and I'm like, they want a degree. I'm not qualified. I don't have a degree. It was frustrating. My husband had to tell me, you may not have a degree. You have so much experience. You've done all of these things for 16 years. Yes, you are qualified.
Mm.
You need to apply. I wasn't hired for those jobs, but knowing my worth, it's disheartening when you feel like you're not worthy. They say if you have a man looking for a job and a woman looking for a job, a man can look at a job and be like, I think I'm about 50, 60% qualified for this job. They'll apply for it anyway. Women don't do that. They will not apply usually unless they are 100% they feel that they're qualified.
I've heard
Yeah.
that study too, and I find it super remarkable. That's what we do. But then yet, like yourself, I do this, I've done the same thing throughout my career. I don't have that really. I don't know. Wasn't formally trained on it.
Right.
Maybe not.
Right.
But it's really about just having that own, our belief in what you're saying, like our own worth, that confidence.
Yes, exactly. It took a while for that confidence. My husband was a huge help because he's Mr. Common Sense. Look at all these things you can do. That made a huge difference.
You started to apply for these different positions. Where did that lead you?
That didn't lead me to the job that I have now.
Yeah.
What it did was build up my confidence a little bit and my understanding my own worth as I'm applying for these. When I had finally just made the decision to really leave for real, when I made that decision, finally said, that's it. I don't care if I have a plan or not. I'm done. Within days, one of my dear friends who works at this tax firm that I now work at calls me and says, hey, we have an opening in our office. I think you should apply. Are you sure? I don't know if I'm office material. I'm a tomboy. I've worked with burly dudes for decades. I burp louder than most men. I'm not sure if this office is ready for me. I'm jeans, t-shirt, not office wear. She said, it'll be fine. Get your resume together and send it in. It took me a couple days. I sent it in and didn't think much more about it. A week later, I got a phone call. Hey, we'd like to have you come in for an interview. And I'm like, not really. It was terrifying because I'm like, oh gosh, because I don't feel like I interview well because anxiety. So I was like, all right, I guess I will. And actually, dogs. I have big dogs. I love dogs. And I
Mm-hmm.
found out
Me too.
my future boss also loves dogs, has several dogs. And I'm like, okay, so we had something in common. Phew. So I went in and we chatted about dogs. I said, look, I'm really good with numbers. I'm a fast learner. I take extremely detailed, great notes. I would love to be considered for this. You know, I didn't want to beg, but I think I would be good for this job. I went through the interview. I actually did okay. I didn't freak out. I was nervous because they have a big conference room right up front, all glass, and they were having a meeting. When I walk up the stairs and I turn the corner, there's all these people and they're all like looking at me. I'm like, oh no. Oh, okay. But it turned out good and I left. I didn't feel confident about the interview, but I was hopeful. I heard the next day that I was hired. They offered me the job. What I found out, my dear friend, she says, when you left and my boss came up and she said, I really like her. I don't know if she's right for this office. And she said, no, this girl, she is amazing. You want her. Trust me, you want her. That was actually the deciding factor in me getting that job.
Oh, isn't that wonderful to have somebody who really believes in you? Oh,
Yes.
we all need friends like that.
I'm fortunate to have a close circle of friends that they are my people. And man, we're there for each other. It's great.
We all need our people. So that's where you are. That was your career change. You started to do stuff with numbers.
Yes. What I do is administrative. In a tax firm, that means processing taxes, looking at numbers and proofreading. For me, it means proofreading and formatting financial statements. I do their monthly billing. I do a lot of things most people in the company don't do, which is cool because of my previous experience. I love proofreading. That sounds weird, but I love finding things that are wrong. It's actually really exciting to do that. And it's one of my favorite parts of that is, I guess, knowing that this company knows my worth. They know I'm great and they appreciate me and I'm not just a number. I make a difference.
I love that it's using transferable skills that we
Yes.
have and really honing in on the stuff that we really enjoyed. Like you shared, you like numbers, you liked proofreading. That is a unique skill to you.
Yes.
Don't ask me to proofread. I glaze right over it. I won't catch it.
I don't know. It's something I don't want to say I'm like necessarily a speed reader, but I've always been an avid reader. We had a home library with hundreds of books, and I loved reading. Skimming through things was always a thing for me. This is perfect. I get to work with office supplies, which I have a mild obsession with office supplies. The first day I started, we have a huge, beautiful copy machine, and it does all the fancy things. My friend is like, this is the printer. And I'm like, And I go up and I hug it and I'm like, you and I are going to be such great friends. And she's like, what is, you are so weird, but she's my kind of weird. So glad she understood that because I'm just like, all these beautiful office supplies I get to use.
I love that. We have
Mhm.
to you own our uniqueness because somebody else is going to love that.
Yes, I love a challenge, learning how to use these things. Bring it on. Teach me everything. Throw it all at me. I am ready to soak it all up. Let's do this.
You're doing numbers all day, and now you're also an author, photographer, you do music, and you have this beautiful, calm, and relaxing
Mm.
music. How does that come into play? Were you doing that before the
Um,
career change, or has it allowed you to blossom into it?
I dabbled before
Mhm,
because my previous job took up a lot of my time. It took up a lot of my mental bandwidth. I didn't have the capacity to do it now. On a weekend or something, I would start things and I did finish some, but I was too preoccupied with the job to dig deep into that.
mhm,
And since starting this job, I go to work, do my job, I leave, and I don't have to worry about my job. I just go home and I do my thing. And so once I changed jobs, I was able to really dig deeper into those things that I love to do so much. And
mhm.
music has always been one of my great loves. My mom used to tell me I would sing harmony with music before I could talk. That's always been just very deeply ingrained in me. And so being able to be there for that talent feels so good.
Mhm.
It's blossomed since I've had this new job.
Once we own our worth,
Mhm.
our light shines, right? Whether
Yes.
it's with abundance, with our joy,
Mhm.
all of a sudden we have the energy to do what lights us up. We have all these different opportunities, and that is just a perfect, you are proof of that. You align with something that uses your strengths,
Yes.
and then it allows you to then dovetail really into other things that bring you joy and show your gifts.
It feels so good to bring those things to the
Mhm.
surface and put everything into it. It's wonderful.
How can somebody like who's had social anxiety, you've made the change and you've adopted to another very different work environment
Oh,
from the
yes.
big burly men to now
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
you're
in
in
an
this
office
office
and
environment.
yeah,
And what guidance would you give? What helped you make that change?
you have to really believe in yourself. Sometimes it does take being at that breaking point to make you decide that you absolutely have to make a change. I would not recommend waiting until you have a breakdown to make that to decide to make that change, but sometimes that's what it takes. Believe a lot has to do with not believing, yeah, your own worth. It's digging deep and going, I am good enough. I am gifted. I am worthy. These people want me because I'm awesome. Knowing you are talented and have wonderful gifts, believing that helps because your self-confidence, it shines through when
Mm,
you believe these things. And sometimes that means looking in the mirror every day and just saying, I am worthy. I deserve this. You are a wonderful person. If you have to talk yourself up, that's what you have to.
mhm. You do.
You
And
do.
those who believe in you, like your friend who
Yes.
really believed in you, knew how great you were. Having those people, whether friends or family or a coach or different parts of communities that can help you, they're right there at our fingertips. I think if we go
Yes.
looking for them.
Yes.
there are people who are more than willing to help us. Did you happen to do any type of work as far as writing out what you enjoyed or what you were good at to help you? Mhm.
Yes, I did. I would sit down and I would write down all the things that I was good at and pick from that list, moving to something else, or I would find an interesting job listing and I would pick through my list and be like, that qualifies. I don't know if that does, but I bet it does. And push it over there, looking at these job listings. Yeah, I am qualified. I might not have a bachelor's degree in this, but I have 15, 16, 17 years experience in this.
Mhm.
Sometimes having a degree doesn't mean you know how to do it, but having real life experience,
Mhm.
it does make a difference.
Yeah, it does. Now, you've switched into two areas, your entrepreneur stuff too. Have you used that list to help you continue on that journey as well?
I have changing jobs was a big boost for me, but self-doubt has always been a thing for me. Honestly, the best-selling author thing really tipped my self-worth to the positive side.
Mhm.
It was a co-authored book that had 50 plus other authors in it. And it was that whole process changed me. It really changed me because I look at this wonderful thing that we've accomplished. And it was not me solely, but it was so many of us together
Mhm.
that really made all the difference for me. I held my head higher and I'm like, yeah, I am awesome. And it was the most amazing feeling. That's what I needed. And I didn't know I needed it, but I truly did. And it just helped, it changed everything.
What was that process that you're referring to write the book, your portion of the book?
It was pushing past my anxiety to put myself out there in some way, to just really let that stuff go and digging inside and being able to just let it go. And not that I don't care about those things, but those things don't matter. It's just me doing what I do all these years. It didn't matter. Just go and do the thing. Just do it. Better done than perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect because I was such a perfectionist. So many things never came to light for a long time because it had to be perfect. And so things sat around for
Mm.
decades. And that all changed when this happened. It was like, okay, I showed up, I did it imperfectly, and it's okay. And look what happened. It was so great. Yeah,
And
it was amazing.
I think as well is that I think our generation, we were
Mhm.
taught to be perfect. We
Yeah,
were taught the school systems want us to be perfect. Working at the employers, you need to be perfect to get your evaluation, focusing more on weaknesses versus strengths.
I agree.
I don't think we get here all by ourselves.
No,
You can add in other factors to
yeah,
it, but I think we're as a society, the American society at least, is that we are geared to be perfect. But
yeah.
how freeing. Your whole facial expression changed when you're like, and I did it, and it was done, not perfect.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It took me so long to realize that.
If you had to go back and talk to yourself, your younger version of yourself of feeling worthy, what would you tell them?
I would tell myself that one, most of the things that you think matter don't.
Mm,
It's all those things that I worried about. I was always so worried about what other people thought of me. I was a very emotional person. And so it doesn't, most of those things don't matter. It doesn't matter. Just let it go. Be yourself. And that's all you need to be. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it.
wow, that was a big leap. You're more of a quiet, shy person.
Yeah.
And here you are on the podcast.
I know. It's so great.
That talks about worth.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
yes.
that really is demonstrating that big shift. And it all started from a moment that some might think, oh my gosh, that breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
You something positive came out of it when we're shook out of our comfort zone. It pivoted here, and you wouldn't have seen it even the next day, talking to me about the steps along the way. It wasn't linear. Did you have
some ups and downs?
We want to normalize that the journey isn't what we see on Instagram. It's the journey of self-discovery. I'm excited. You took that leap and were supported by those who believe in you. I'd like to ask my guests too about a song that's uplifting, that helps keep them going on those days where they need their own inspiration.
Mhm.
You have your own music.
I have two. One of the songs that really inspires me, especially if I have self-doubt, is my own song, Falling Snow. Every time I listen to that song, and I am amazed at myself. That sounds weird, maybe, but I listen to this and I'm like, you did this. You did this. It's beautiful. I listen to it and by the end, I almost get teary-eyed because it makes me very proud of myself. That is me speaking through my fingers and it makes me very proud. That always is a boost for me. Number two, I love all genres of music. If I had the whole soundtrack, you'd be like, oh, because it just bounces all over the place. Pink Martini's Hang On Little Tomato is one of my, there's something about it. I love clarinet, their style of music, and the words to that song, just hang on, hold on to the vine. It's going to be okay. That is one of my go-to songs. You're going to be all right.
Hang on to the vine. Oh, I love that song. Yeah.
Pink Martinis.
Pink Martinis. I absolutely love that. I've so enjoyed our time. Catherine, if people want to reach out, learn more about your music, they want to listen to your song of Fallen Snow, they want to learn more about the book, how can they reach you?
My website, mostly music, but also some photography, is www.catherinecatterson.com. I also have a Facebook page, Catherine Catterson Creates, that has everything. My email, it's pretty repetitive. It's Catherine Catterson at catherinecatterson.com.
Thank you for sharing that and coming on and sharing this journey that you've been on and working through the depression, the anxiety, the social anxiety, making that career change through it, and then blossoming into your own creativeness with all the stuff that makes up who you are, and really demonstrating by owning our worth how we can blossom into the best version of ourselves, really, and just empower others. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This has been a joy.